Well, hello everyone. I am Stephen Torres, faculty director here at Career Launch, and today I'm with.
I'm Sean O'Keefe. I'm founder, partner, and chief impact officer of Career Launch. Our primary goal and mission is to partner with colleges and career programs to scale the skill set of launching a holistic job or internship search, especially for students with few to no connections. We started this student stream, this live stream, as a way to bring Career Launch to students who do not attend colleges and universities that are currently partnered with our social enterprise. So really glad to have everyone here today.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. And today we have a special guest with us, Regina Howson. And the great thing about having Regina on today is she is a current student and someone who's recently gone through the Career Launch method. So hello, Regina. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Stephen. Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So you recently went through this method with Sean last fall, is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about this. What year in school are you? You're going to Santa Clara, but what year are you?
I'm a junior. I'm a finance major and real estate minor.
Awesome, fantastic.
Yes.
Now, are you from this area?
I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, but
Really?
my father's from Gilroy, which is like 30 minutes away from here. So
And the
I do,
garlic capital of the world?
and the garlic capital of the world. Not something I'm that proud of being recognized for,
You
but
have to. It's great garlic.
it
It's
is.
amazing. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
Yeah. And so now I live there, and Santa Clara is so close to home.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so, how did you end up getting into this career launch method with Sean and taking the class? Tell us about that story.
Sure. Well, I think I'm one of the rare few that needs their inboxes to be very clean. So I check all my emails, and I saw one from my career center that said, "Hey, this is something new that we're trying out, the Career Launch program. It's about networking and branding, and increasing your communication skills." And so I thought, why not? Let's try it out. It's free. It's not that big of a time commitment, and it seems like a great opportunity. So that's how I found out, and that's what motivated me to do it.
Awesome. So one of those amazing emails that we get from our career services
Yeah.
center. So thank you, career services folks,
Thank you.
because that those things make a huge difference. I know to all of us. And so you saw this. I want to take a little bit. So you mentioned a couple things that were exciting to you. Networking, something new. Tell us a little bit about what was it about those things that really motivated you to, okay, check this out. It's not a big time commitment. You also said, tell us about that.
Yeah. So in real estate, it's a people business. It's all about who you know. So networking is an essential part of your career.
Hmm.
And prior to my junior year, I didn't really have any experience networking. I just stayed in my Santa Clara bubble. And I thought, well, this isn't really productive for my future. I need to get out there. And this was a great opportunity to learn how to get out there and expand beyond the Santa Clara walls, because real estate isn't just about who you know within a certain community. It's also people from LA and Seattle, and so being able to cold network and reach out to a person in Seattle was something that was intriguing to me.
Well, I think what I find interesting about this, Regina, is that you were aware that, for what you wanted to get into, finance, real estate specifically, you needed to hone these skills. I think there's a lot of students who maybe don't know. So how did you realize that, hey, these are skills I really need to hone? Was it, just something you saw? Was it something someone told you? Tell us about that.
My father is in the real estate business, so I think I had a little
Ah.
step up in that I saw what it takes to be successful, and how to best navigate that career.
Hmm.
And I did realize that, oh wow, like he really puts himself out there. He really tries to go to all these events and meet new people and make those connections. So that's kind of where I picked up networking is a good thing. But I think it goes beyond real estate. I mean, any career, it's best to know as many people as you can. And I think that it's a good opportunity, not in a way, and not in a selfish way also. I think I'm coming off as like, oh, you need to meet people for your own interest. It's a way to expand your knowledge and to also give back to them in case that they also need something from you. It's a bilateral, symbiotic relationship.
That's interesting. Well, and let me ask this: before you went through the method and the program, excuse me, what were your thoughts about like networking and getting out there? Was this something you were naturally good at before? Was it something that you were cognizant of? Tell us that.
I was terrified of the idea, and I think I can't say I'm great at it now. It takes practice and it takes a long time, but I was very scared. And I think the class is what helped me the most, like Sean coaching and saying, hey, if you mess up this call, you never have to talk to this person again. That really helped, putting things into perspective. But yeah, very scared. I still get scared when I pick up the phone, but it's something that I realize it's okay if you mess up. They understand, they're human, they've messed up. And also, worst comes to worst, don't call them again and, move on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much there, Regina, like doing it afraid. Right. This is something that on all the student streams that we've had so far, students have talked about that they weren't great at this, that they were kind of terrified.
Yes.
But they did it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so rewarding.
Tell us why.
It's kind of like conquering a fear, it's being very scared and then pushing yourself to do it and then succeeding. Because something can come out of the meeting that's great, or nothing at all, but at least you have that sense of satisfaction of, hey, I did something that was very scary to me, but look at where I am now and I'm better for it.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, when you hear these stories, I'm curious, is this a typical starting point for students, especially like Regina, right? She just went through this last fall. But is this a typical starting point?
Yes. I mean, so this concept of setting up meetings with people you've never met, it ranks up there as as Regina said, it's a scary proposition for most students, up there with public speaking. It's just things that students a lot of times want to avoid. But with networking with professionals, a lot of students would tell us that it's even more important to conquer their fears, step out of their comfort zone, because the results can be so great in a short period of time. What I love about what Regina said, Stephen, as you know, and Regina, as you know, in the Career Launch method, we're big on multimodalities. And when you do outreach, we have a specific formula about mixing up email with LinkedIn and phone calls. But it makes my heart sing that the mode of communication that you're mentioning the most is the phone call, which is the scariest out of those three modes of communication, right? And a lot of students want to avoid it. And to everyone out there listening in, the reason we have multi modes and methods of outreach is because different things resonate with different professionals. Some professionals, you can send an email and you'll get a response. Some professionals, you can send a LinkedIn message and you get a response. And then for some professionals, it doesn't matter how many emails or LinkedIn message, they're not going to respond. They're only going to respond if they get a phone call. And vice versa could be true for the next person that you want to reach out to. So what we found over the last 11 years is we have data on what mode of communication you should start with, how many days you should wait until you reach out again, and then what mode of communication is that, and so on and so forth. And we've tested a lot of things over the last 11 years of spreading communication out over months versus weeks versus a lot in 1 week. And we tested a lot of things and we learned a lot. What's too aggressive? Because we certainly don't want to annoy professionals, because that's not only would be a bad reflection on the student, it would be a bad reflection on the student's university. So we have, a lot of data that says following a certain method is going to lead to the best results. But one of the keys to that method is mixing up the different modes. And Regina, I know from knowing your story that you did use all the different modes, but I really like the fact that you, when you talk about it, you mentioned the phone call, because a lot of students skip that part.
I actually did skip that part for the first time you mentioned it. And I was like, I'm being a little too transparent, but I was so scared. And then I'm like, I'm putting all this time and effort into this, like, might as well just carry it out all the way through. And so I sucked it up and did it. And I actually got a meeting from that phone call. And even though I had sent emails previously, so it is rewarding and should be done, but it's scary.
That is awesome. And I think what you just said is so key, right? Is that you skipped it at first. And this is natural, right? Everybody does this. And then you got to a point that you're like, oh, I'll just do it. I want to talk about that. What was the point? Where did you get to? Because you said you skipped it at first and then you got to it. Let's talk about that, because you're not the only one who's done this, by the way. Lots of people do this.
Yeah. Well, during the class, Sean was like, can you raise your hand if you've made a phone call? And I couldn't because I hadn't done it. And so at that point, I realized I'm going through this program and I'm putting in effort into writing these emails and finding these people and learning about these people to see if, we're compatible. And then I can't follow through and for a simple phone call. So it put things into perspective of like, it's just a 2-minute phone call. If it could be a 20-second voice message. So that was a point where I was like, there's much more bang for your buck if you just suck it up and do it. Because a lot of good can come from it, like a whole internship or just meeting someone new, than the fear of like a 30-second conversation.
Yeah, that is so awesome. It reminds me back early in my career when I was in the sales industry and we were making phone calls, and there's a lot of, hesitation at first. So I want to talk about another thing that Sean mentioned, Regina, and that is this process, right? This isn't like, just one of those things where you sit and you listen and then like a class, right? Like a class, sometimes you could sit and you might get a test or a midterm and that type of stuff. But it doesn't really leave the thought experimentations phase. Career launch method is not like that at all, is it? You actually do stuff. Let's talk about that process. Tell me how the process was for you going through these steps, right? There's a lot of scaffolding that we say in the academic world where there's, literally scripts that you can utilize. Tell us a little bit about your experience with those things.
It was a great experience in that it made me think further about what I wanted to do. So one of the first steps is outlining what companies you're interested in, which a lot of people don't even think about. It's like, yeah, I want to do real estate, but what in real estate and with who? So that was a great beginning step of like narrowing down where I want to be and who I want to work along with. And so then going from there, picking people from those companies and seeing what do they do, is this of interest to me, and then taking that a step further and actually reaching out to those people. And that's kind of when the method really comes into play of emails first day, second email, and then a phone call, and then a LinkedIn. I'm not sure if that's a correct order, Sean, but along those lines. And yeah, that's when it really comes into play. And the workbook is amazing in that it tells you what to say and what to do. So it's amazing. Yes. Honestly, I love it because even when I stopped taking the class, I'm like, oh, I don't really remember what I'm supposed to do. But you have that to fall back on and to read and just exactly type out what it says. So it's a good safety net. And it also has a voice message template. So if you are nervous ringing up someone, you have a script right there. You want to sound natural, but worst comes to worst, you have it there.
Yeah, and the thing is, everyone out there watching is, when you reach out to professionals, you're really nervous. I was really nervous, Regina. It's natural to be nervous, but the professionals on the other end, they're kind of expecting a college student to be nervous. They're not expecting a college student to be perfectly articulate in everything that they say in word. And so they have a lot of grace and empathy when they're listening to the message or they're responding to an email. Like, and even when you set up a meeting and you meet with someone for the first time, and it's someone that you haven't been introduced to, it's what we call cold networking. The professional comes into these meetings having empathy and having grace, and I think that's a really important understanding that we can provide students, is that it's okay to know that you might mess up, you might stutter on your words, you might lose your train of thought, and the professional is not going to be upset with you as long as you prepare for the meeting accordingly. You think about the questions, and step 5 of the career launch method is taking you through all the things that you should do to prepare for an effective meeting, and step 6 is how to turn that meeting into something more, like, and truly build a relationship with that particular professional. And so just know it's okay if everything doesn't go 100% perfect. I know there's a lot of students out there, especially the straight A type of students, like, they're so used to getting everything right. But so sometimes they don't want to take action because in communication and in networking and relationship building, there's a lot of variables. And sometimes it's impossible to account for all the different variables, and you just got to kind of do your best, knowing that there might be a little bit of mistakes, but that's okay, because professionals have empathy, and they're not expecting you to be perfect.
And I want to build on that, Regina. Did you find this to be true, what Sean's talking about?
Oh, yes, for sure. Not once did I encounter a person who was like, oh, you just messed up or anything. They were so welcoming, so helpful. And they all of them followed up saying, it was amazing speaking with you. Like, please keep in contact. And I was like, whoa, like, compared to the amount of effort I put in terms of like making the email and putting in the phone call, this is a reward I get. It's very rewarding and a great experience.
So can you speak to that? I believe you tapped into. We talk about the hidden job market a lot on the student stream, and what that means, if you're listening for the first time, is accessing jobs and internship opportunities that are not posted online. And I believe, Regina, you were able to turn one of these career conversations into an opportunity, and I believe you actually had to turn it down because you were able to create another opportunity. Is that right?
Right. Yes. So
okay, you got to tell us, Regina. Tell us.
Well, I met with I don't know, if a real estate company back in fall quarter, and we got to talking, and the conversation went amazing, and it was for their winter internship. And yeah, that one didn't really fit my schedule. So there's actually another point that the workbook touches upon, and it's staying in contact, whether it be 3 months from then and sending, hey, this article, we talked about it in our conversation, just to keep yourself fresh in their minds. And so I followed up again a couple months later and stayed in contact, and they offered me their summer internship, and that was very exciting. But I had another one also lined up, so it was good practice and very exciting to see that, oh, something so small, something so big came out of something so small. But yeah, that was it.
I think that is just fantastic. And every student who's watching this, I want you to understand this process, right? It is a process. That there is stuff that you do, the all of the stuff that you need to help you along this path, whether you think you're an amazing networker or you're someone who, like I was, like Sean was, like Regina was, they're like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do or how to do it. There is a process, right? Success is a process. I firmly believe that. And when it comes to getting those internships or jobs, what you're hearing from Regina is, if you work the process works. Mm-hmm. Right? Work the process will work. And I think this is so great. So I have to ask this: how did you turn down the one that offered you when you had another one? What did you do?
Well, it was really hard. I actually talked to Sean and I was like, I have these two opportunities. I don't really know what to do. But the other one just aligned better with my future career. But it was really hard turning down. It was my first ever internship offer. I think that's also a
Oh,
point worth
wow.
mentioning. Yeah. So it was hard turning it down, but it was for the best. And I think a lot of the skills that I learned during that couple month process will stay with me forever and actually helped me obtain the internship that I did accept.
Wow. So let's talk about that. What do you think is going to stay with you? You mentioned that you've already gone back to the book or the workbook. What else? What's going to stay with you, Regina?
The communication skills and just being comfortable talking to anyone. But also, I think a big part was following up, because you made all this effort in the beginning to find this person and meet with them and then never contact them again. That doesn't, it's not as productive as it can be. So
Hmm.
following up 6 months later or sending them a LinkedIn, I think, is part of the workbook. I think, Sean, correct me if I'm
Yes.
wrong. Yeah. Connecting on LinkedIn a couple days after, just to keep them fresh in your mind. That's a big, big deal. Because if, let's say, they say keep in contact, and then a year later you're like, oh, hey, we talked a year ago. Do you still have that internship? Doesn't sound as genuine. You actually do want to build a genuine connection with them and keep them in mind and have them keep you in mind.
Wow, that is awesome. We're going to be finishing up here. I want to know, Sean, any last thoughts here that you have here in Regina's story? I mean, obviously you know it firsthand.
Yeah. So employers, they a lot of times, they'll post a job online, or they have a job, and they'll get sometimes hundreds or thousands of applicants for a single job posting, and they have a lot to choose from. Our job, or as students, as higher education leaders, as people, Stephen, you and I, passionate about helping students um, create the jobs and internships that they want. We want students to be in Regina's place where you have options, and that's a great problem to have to say, sorry, I'm actually going to go in a different direction. I was lucky enough to get multiple options, and because that creates a position of power. It's a great problem to have. Employers get that all the time because there's so few jobs and so many applicants, and what we want for our students is to create relationships and create opportunities so that they get a menu of job offers that they get to choose from, just like the employers get to choose from a lot of different applicants. Thanks, Regina. I think that it's really great. I'm so excited people got to hear your story today.
I
Yeah,
do
that's
have one
awesome.
last comment, if that's
Tell
okay.
us. I was gonna ask, what else would you like to share, Regina?
Well, it is what you make of it with anything in life. You have all these amazing resources, but you have to be the one that's proactive and follow through. So I completely agree with everything that the method explains, but you within yourself have to execute it.
Absolutely. The process works if you work the process.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Anything else? If you were giving advice to maybe someone else at another university, is they're wondering like, should I do this? Can this work for me? What would you share with them?
Do it. Just as simple as that. It's so rewarding, and it really isn't that scary once you really try and put yourself out there. Because with anything in life, you just adapt and you get used to it. And you'll feel very happy with yourself if you did something out of your comfort zone.
That's fantastic. For those of you who are listening to this, if you want to get 2 free chapters of the book that's coming up so you can actually hear some of the stuff that Regina's talking about, it's scrolling across the screen right now. Launchyourcareerbook.com/preview. You can get 2 free chapters, and especially some of the early stuff and understanding the mindset are part of those. So I think you'll really get a lot out of that. Also, for those of you who have internships and are wondering about this, we actually have an upcoming masterclass on how to negotiate your job offer. And that's going to be April 21st at 3 p.m. The link is also scrolling across. You go to careerlaunch.academy/masterclass. You can sign up for that. I think it's going to be some great information. Well, that's going to be it for our stream today. Regina, I really want to thank you for being here and sharing this story. We want to get that out there and inspire and help all those other college students who don't get a chance to take the class with Sean, but still can go through the method with some of the resources that we have for them. That's it for today. Thank you all, everyone. We'll see you next week, 10:30 a.m. for our student stream. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, Regina.